California's housing market is not crashing everywhere. Some cities are still expensive, some are still competitive, and some homes still sell fast. But away from the big coastal markets, a different story is unfolding. In these 10 small towns, sellers are losing leverage. Price cuts are becoming more common, and the market is starting to look very different from just a few years ago. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel for honest housing market updates, real estate warnings, and the latest trends before they become mainstream news. Number 10. California City sounds like a huge place, but the housing market here is much smaller and more fragile than the name suggests. For years, buyers looked at California City as one of the more affordable places in the state. Compared with Los Angeles, San Diego, or the Bay Area, homes here looked much cheaper. You could get more space, more land, and a quieter lifestyle. But now the market is not moving with the same strength. When mortgage rates are high, even affordable homes start to feel expensive. Buyers who once rushed into cheaper desert towns are now thinking twice. They are looking at monthly payments. They are looking at insurance. They are looking at repairs. And they are asking a very serious question. Will this home still hold its value in the future? That is the problem in California City. It may still look affordable compared with coastal California, but buyers are not as aggressive as they were during the housing boom. Homes are taking longer to sell. Sellers are becoming more flexible, and buyers are no longer afraid to negotiate. This does not mean every home is losing value overnight, but it does mean the old seller advantage is getting weaker. And when a small town depends heavily on affordability, weaker demand can put serious pressure on prices. Number 9. Yucca Valley became one of California's most popular desert towns during the pandemic housing boom. People wanted space. They wanted desert views. They wanted mountain scenery. And they wanted easy access to Joshua Tree. For a while, Yucca Valley felt like one of those hidden California gems. Buyers came in. Investors came in. Vacation rental demand helped push attention toward the area, but now the story is changing. When a town becomes popular because of lifestyle demand, it can also cool down when that demand slows. Vacation rental income is not guaranteed. Tourism can change. Buyers can become more careful, and many people are no longer willing to overpay just because a town looks beautiful online. Yucca Valley is still attractive, but the market feels softer than it did a few years ago. Homes are not moving with the same speed. Sellers are facing more competition. Buyers are taking more time before making offers. That is a major shift. During the boom, sellers could often ask for a high price and wait for someone to pay it. Now, buyers are looking closely at every number. They want value. They want negotiation. They want a fair deal. And if the price does not make sense, they are willing to walk away. Number 8. Blythe is far from California's major coastal job centers. It sits near the Arizona border, and for many buyers, it has always looked like one of the more affordable places in California. But affordability alone cannot protect the housing market forever. The biggest challenge for Blythe is location. When buyers are paying high mortgage rates, they become very careful about where they buy. They ask serious questions. How strong is the local job market? How easy will it be to sell the home later? Will enough buyers want this location 5 years from now? Those questions matter more today than they did during the boom. A few years ago, some buyers were willing to move far away for cheaper homes and more space. But now, many buyers are thinking more carefully. They still want affordability, but they also want convenience, income stability, and future demand. That puts pressure on remote markets like Blythe. Prices may look low compared with the rest of California, but if buyer demand is thin, sellers may still need to cut prices to get attention. That is why Blythe is on this list. It shows that cheap does not always mean strong. Sometimes, cheap means the market is still searching for buyers. Number 7. Taft is a small town in Kern County, and it has long been known as one of the more affordable housing markets in California. But even affordable towns are feeling pressure now. Taft is not a luxury market. It is not a coastal market. It is not a famous technology market. That makes it even more important to watch. Because weakness in a town like Taft shows that the housing slowdown is not only hitting expensive areas. When working families are under pressure, affordable towns can slow down too. High mortgage rates have changed the math for buyers. A home that looked affordable a few years ago may now come with a monthly payment that feels too high. Add insurance. taxes, maintenance, fuel, groceries, and everyday living costs, and many buyers simply step back. In Taft, that means sellers have to be more realistic. Homes cannot be priced like the boom is still happening. Buyers have more choices now. They are comparing listings. They are watching price cuts. And they are not rushing the way they were before. This is the new reality for many small California towns. If a home is priced too high, it can sit. And once it sits, buyers start wondering what is wrong with it. That is when sellers begin to lose leverage. Number 6, Ridgecrest is another small market showing signs of pressure. It is located in the high desert, far from California's biggest coastal cities. It is more affordable than many other parts of the state, but affordability does not automatically create strong demand. The issue in Ridgecrest is buyer hesitation. When homes sit longer, it tells you something important. It means buyers are looking, comparing, and waiting. They are not afraid that every good home will disappear overnight. That is very different from the pandemic market. Back then, buyers often felt like they had to move fast. They had to offer above asking price. They had to accept fewer protections. And they had to compete with other buyers. Now, in towns like Ridgecrest, buyers have more control. Sellers who understand the new market can still sell. But sellers who price too high may sit for weeks or even months without serious offers. That is how a market begins to crack, not with one dramatic event, but with slower sales, weaker demand, and price reductions that become more common over time. Ridgecrest is a good example of a market where the old rules no longer apply. Sellers need patience. Buyers want leverage. And prices are under pressure because the buyer pool is no longer as aggressive as it once was. Number 5, Barstow is one of the strongest examples on this list. This desert town has long been known as a transportation hub between Southern California and Las Vegas. It has highways, it has affordability, and it has a recognizable name. But the housing market here has been under real pressure. During the boom, buyers looked at Barstow because it was cheaper than the coastal cities. For many people, that was enough. But now, buyers are thinking differently. A cheaper price does not always mean a better deal if the monthly payment is still high and the local demand is uncertain. Barstow shows what happens when affordability demand slows down. Sellers who expected quick offers are now facing a different market. Buyers want discounts. They want repairs. They want closing cost help. They want a clear reason to choose one home over another. And if the price is too high, they simply move on. That is the biggest change. Barstow is not cooling only because homes became expensive. It is cooling because buyers are more careful, more patient, and more powerful than they were a few years ago. When buyers have options, sellers cannot control the market the same way. And in a town like Barstow, that change can show up quickly. Number 4, Needles is a small, remote town near the borders of Arizona and Nevada. It is one of the more affordable places in California, but it is also one of the markets where numbers can move quickly because the town is small. In a small housing market, a few sales can change the median price. That means the market can look strong one month and weak the next. But that volatility is exactly why buyers and sellers need to pay attention. Needles is not a place where demand is deep like Los Angeles, San Diego, or San Jose. There are fewer buyers, there are fewer listings, and there are fewer transactions. When demand slows, sellers can feel it quickly. A home that is overpriced may sit. A buyer may negotiate harder. A seller may need to reduce the price just to get attention. For buyers, Needles can look tempting because prices are lower than most of California. But low price does not always mean low risk. You still have to think about jobs. You still have to think about insurance. You still have to think about property condition. You still have to think about resale demand. Because buying a home in a small town is not just about the price today. It is also about who will want to buy that home from you in the future. And that is where remote markets can become risky. Number 3, Clear Lake is different from some of the desert towns on this list. It has natural beauty, lake views, and a lifestyle appeal that attracts certain buyers. But even scenic towns can struggle when affordability becomes a problem. In Clear Lake, the concern is not only about price. It is also about market speed. When homes take longer to sell, that can be an early warning sign. It shows that buyers are hesitating. And when buyers hesitate long enough, sellers often have to adjust. Clear Lake also has another issue that many small towns face. Not every home is the same. Property condition, location, insurance, repairs, and local demand can make a big difference. Some homes may still attract attention. Others may sit because buyers see too much risk. That is why the market can feel uneven. One seller may still get a fair price, while another seller may need to reduce the price more than once. That is what happens when a market shifts from emotional buying to careful buying. And right now, careful buying is becoming more common. Buyers are no longer only asking if they like the home, they are asking if the home makes financial sense. That one question changes everything. Number 2, Hidden Valley Lake is the kind of community that many people imagine when they think about small-town California living. It has scenery, it has space, it has a quieter lifestyle. For buyers tired of big city stress, that can be very appealing. But appealing does not always mean affordable. When mortgage rates are high, even beautiful communities can face pressure. Buyers may love the area, but they still have to qualify for the loan. They still have to handle the monthly payment. They still have to think about insurance, taxes, maintenance, and long-term costs. That is where the market starts to weaken. In Hidden Valley Lake, homes taking longer to sell is a serious signal. It means buyers are not rushing. It means sellers may need to compete harder. It means price cuts can become more common if demand does not improve. This is one of the clearest signs of a changing market. The town may still be desirable, but desirability alone does not protect prices when buyers are stretched thin. That is the main lesson from many small California towns right now. People may still want the lifestyle. They just may not be willing or able to pay yesterday's price for it. And once buyers stop paying yesterday's price, sellers have to face today's reality. Number 1. Small-town California. The number 1 story is bigger than one town. It is the entire small-town housing boom that is now being tested. During the pandemic years, many small California towns became hot almost overnight. Buyers left expensive cities. Remote work gave people more freedom. Investors searched for cheaper properties. And many sellers suddenly found themselves in control. But that market was built on unusual conditions. Mortgage rates were extremely low. Buyers were emotional. Inventory was tight. People were afraid of missing out. And almost every market felt competitive. Today, the environment is very different. Mortgage rates are higher. Buyers are more cautious. Investors are more selective. Insurance is more expensive in many areas. And families are paying more for almost everything. That changes the housing market from the inside. A buyer who could afford a certain home a few years ago may not be able to afford the same home today, even if the price is similar. That is because the monthly payment is much higher. This is why small towns are under pressure. Many of these markets grew because they looked affordable compared with the rest of California. But when the payment becomes too high, the affordability advantage gets weaker. And once buyers slow down, sellers have to respond. First, homes sit longer, then sellers reduce the price. Then buyers negotiate harder. Then other sellers notice and adjust too. That is how a housing market changes. It does not always happen with one dramatic crash in one day. Sometimes it happens quietly, one price cut at a time. So what should buyers learn from this? A lower price can be a real opportunity, but only if the numbers make sense. Do not buy only because a home is cheaper than it was last year. Look at the local job market. Look at insurance costs. Look at repair costs. Look at how many homes are for sale. Look at how long homes are sitting. And most importantly, think about resale demand. A house is not just a place to live. It is also one of the biggest financial decisions most people will ever make. And what should sellers learn? The market has changed. Pricing too high can hurt you. In a slower market, the first few weeks are very important. If buyers ignore your listing early, you may end up chasing the market down with price cuts. That is why realistic pricing matters more than ever. California real estate is not dead. The California dream is not gone, but the easy money housing boom is over in many small towns. Some places will recover faster, some will stay flat, some may fall even more. But one thing is clear, small town California is no longer guaranteed to rise just because it is in California. And if buyers keep pulling back, these towns may be the first places where the next major housing correction becomes impossible to ignore. Thanks for